Now before, when we were sitting in the living room and you were both holding on to this letter, you just kept on looking at it and looking at it. Now, I don't want you to be tired of this letter already, because it's only been about 10 minutes since you met me, right? And since you know about something that you never really knew about. So I'm going to give you, Mikey, are we just going to make it more sunny?
Well, that was, the sun just came out.
Oh.
I got no control over that.
Oh, it seemed like the sun came out. Okay. You look beautiful with that dappled sunlight.
Did I do? I have my sunglasses. I start frowning at the sun, get on my sunglasses.
Good.
Serving a meal for mosquitoes.
You're a meal for
You're being beaten, yeah, there's one now.
So how long have you lived in this house?
I lived here 77 years.
Did you say seven?
77 years.
In this house?
Mm-hmm.
Were you born here?
No, I came here right after I was born. I wasn't a year old when
So
I came.
how old are you now?
78.
We were the only ones, three of us, you, Alan, and I. Cleo was the first one born in this house. That's the sister who passed away. And
So your uncle wrote this letter.
yeah, he wrote this letter.
I didn't know about this letter. I hadn't seen it.
Well, it's true.
Yeah, it's true. That's his signature too. Remember, that's his signature.
Yeah, that's his.
He wrote pretty good. Not the wrote right better than I do. Wrote better than I do.
He probably, maybe he had someone write this. I know he had someone to type it or.
Well, I kind of know
It's not.
His signature wasn't bad. I've seen his signature.
Yeah, that's his
It's probably his.
I could add a lot more to this.
What'd you say?
I could add a lot more to
Like,
it.
what do you mean?
Well, you don't want that anyway.
Well, could you tell me about some about your uncle and why your uncle might have written a letter like this?
Oh yes, things were bad. They were bad for us. We had to, if you were walking along the street and white people came along, you got off the sidewalks and into the street and let them have the sidewalks.
At the time that did you ever hear, at the time that this letter was written, the cotton mill workers were having a very rough time.
Yes, right.
And they were trying, could you describe to me, if you could read just a little bit of that letter and comment on it, that would be great.
Well, I should have my glasses, but the colored people, some of them are trying to buy homes, and the wages and their homes are being taken away from them. The payments cannot be made, and I remember all of this, but.
Now, back in 1933, could you tell me how old you both were back in could you tell me that?
About 17, 18.
Yeah.
I'm 79 years old.
I was 17, she was 18, I think, because that's when my youngest sister was born.
Around that age.
And
Yeah. Now,
Could you say, my Uncle Elrod, yeah, my Uncle Elrod wrote this letter, but I never knew anything about it, or just,
Yes.
go with that a little bit. Could you
Yes.
say that?
my Uncle Elrod did write this letter. This is the first time I have seen it or heard about it. But
it's all true.
it's true. everything he says is true and worse. Well, I've just said how the people trying to buy homes and losing their homes, colored people. And
Now, how come you think you never knew about this?
this letter,
Sure.
no, I knew about the letter. I knew about the Times.
Well, he would talk about things
He
like
would
that, but I
talk
didn't know
about
he'd written a letter about it. Written a letter to anybody.
We
about it.
lived through
Talk
it,
about it.
so but we didn't know a letter was being written. We didn't know that. This is the first I'd heard about it. But it is true, as I said, and worse. The times that I lived down here until after I finished, then I went up to New York to live.
Now, did your Uncle Elrod, did he work in the cotton mill? Could you tell me some about that?
At some time, I think he did work.
He may have worked in the cotton mill.
He might. I know my
remember, to be
father.
honest. When he was small,
Did
he
for a
could have
short
he
time.
could have worked in the mill when he was small. Didn't know where he was working.
But the jobs were cleaning and what else to do? Cleaning and whatnot.
Scrubbing the
Cleaning,
floors.
Scrubbing floors
Lady
and cleaning.
down there
That's
to scrub them.
maintenance work like that. That's what they did.
Scrubbing.
They did not work in the mills on the looms making the materials, the fabrics and whatnot. Until maybe years later, I think they started. That's when they began. Now I wasn't here then, but I heard that they were paying in the mills at that time $12 a week. I don't know just what year it was.
That must have been.
It was
After
much
this
later.
period of
It
time.
was after this.
Could you both hold on to that letter for me at the same time?
I should put my glasses on because I can't see what.
Well,
Are your glasses there, bud?
Right in my pocket.
Oh, okay.
letters written, you have to kind of guess. You have to
That's
kind of
why-
guess what it is. You can't kind of guess what he's saying. Some of the stuff they come to me. You have time to study it, you have to talk about it. But after you make it out.
Yeah, it is true. This is General Johnson.
1 second, 1 second. That's. I actually, typed it out so you'd be able to.
Who is Johnson?
He was the head of the National Recovery Act.
Oh, the NRA.
Right.
I remember that.
And Joy.
Yeah, you remember this, what it said, dollars. How many was that? I didn't say what. I know the women were making $3 a week. The
Oh, that
woman
was-
cooking
Later.
and working, taking their come at it.
Who is this?
That's my brother coming down. He thought you better come and see what was going on. I guess. Brother, she called.
That was. Yeah, that was much later. When the $12 a week was later. I can't think what.
Yeah, they need-
That was much later.
You know, I know when they,
I remember the $3 a week wages.
Yes.
$2 a week.
yeah, I made $2 a week. I worked
yeah, I
5 days. I
remember
made $2
I'll
a
tell you
week.
the thing that. Well, this will be real interesting. We'll just let your brother. Come on. You stay down. You tell him to come here and you show him that letter, okay?
He's really, I didn't know he was coming.
Alan.
She got him to come. He's the oldest.
Come on back here.
Do you know him?
Yes, ma'am.
You do know him.
His wife is a member of the class. You know why these letters they wasn't published too much. People here, people in the South, they control publishing. So therefore,
Nobody answered the phone.
Nobody in the house.
Called back, nobody answered.
got from your work?
What happened? I told it.
Watch y'all don't follow that trash there. Don't follow in that trash. That's what I'm trying to stop the wash. Those things.
You just coming from work?
Yeah, I just been working today. I was out in the garden shopping on the store after I
Maybe
come from work.
you can
Hi,
tell.
everybody.
Hey,
These are the people that are writing.
Yeah, somebody called me last night. I believe it was last night. Was it you?
It was me.
I gone to bed and you called.
Ah.
This is James Allen. Allen, we call him.
I'm the
Allen.
oldest
Oldest
nephew.
brother, and this is what I can't think.
I'm Elrod's
There's a
oldest
letter
nephew.
that Uncle Elrod wrote.
You have
I
your
didn't know anything about
glasses?
that now.
Yeah.
There's a letter that Uncle Elrod had written.
I couldn't imagine what this is all about. I don't hear well over the phone anyway. I got bad.
You looking for your glasses?
I hear them.
Yeah, you right there in your pocket. Huh? Yeah. Leo, you can sit here.
Now, who you say sent you that letter? Where did you get the letter from?
From the archives in Washington.
We found the letter in the National Archives in Washington, D.C.
Just like I told you before, I think I talked to somebody some time ago,
It was me.
prior to last night. Some time
Yes.
ago. I
Yeah,
don't
she
know
said
what.
it was she who
And,
you spoke
A
to.
couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Now, it's like I told my uncle wasn't a college man or anything like that. But you can see by this, that.
Tell her that.
But he did have a lot of mother with him. He had more sense than a lot of college learned people. He was very smart in a way. So he just didn't get to go to school too much. He really had ambition. He had mother with him. He did a lot more with what he had, and a lot of educated people did with what they had. And I think he's instrumental in getting the lights out here in this neighborhood. Got that started in the mail. He made them expedite the mail business. They made them speed that up, about getting mail delivered out here and all that. And Isaac could tell you some things about him, maybe. That I don't.
Isaac,
What?
Cotton mills is what she's interested in.
the
That's
cotton.
The cotton mills.
Cotton
You
mill.
ever know he worked in the cotton mill? You didn't know about
Yeah, I guess he did down at, I don't know what he did here. See, I don't remember. See, I can't remember back.
But you don't know when Papa worked either, there, do you? 'Cause that
Yeah, I
was-
remember when Papa went in
You
there.
do?
Yeah, I remember when Papa went. I remember Papa be out here on the porch watching this hand in the face before daylight in the morning. We had a ledge on the porch and we had well water. We didn't have city water. And bring the wash pan out there and wash his face out here on the porch in the dark.
getting ready to go to work.
Getting ready to go to work. Now that,
Could you read?
say what?
Take a look at what your uncle wrote.
I
The first
read.
two paragraphs.
I read most of it. The colored people, some of them is trying, see that's what I'm saying, to buy homes and that's he all right. That's my uncle.
Here, why don't
He
you?
was- he was-
I typed it out so you could really see what he was trying to say. Could you read the first part out loud?
This here,
Yeah.
a voice from the colored people in South Carolina. Please see there's something they've done to help him. I don't know why he said him. My dear Sir General Johnson. Will, no, I don't know how you say, will there be, you got will they be. There be, that's the way I'm telling you now, for the very ambitious, but he didn't have much schooling. For colored people in the South on the new wage scale, and on the new wage scale, that's another sentence. In the South, I noticed in the newspapers that cleaners and outside help is not considered in the code of the mills. General Johnson, you know in the South, especially in South Carolina, 95% of the cotton mills labor is white. And you see why they put in the code cleaners and outside help. That would apply to colored labor. So I hope that you will not accept the code till some provisions is not are made, but is made, you got here, to raise colored people's wages in the South, which it will never be unless you take it in hand. You know, in South Carolina, colored man Me have got no job if a white man wants it. John Johnson in Greenwood, South Carolina, city and county wages that is paid to colored people, RFC. That's route-free delivery. Labor 50 cents, 50 to 75 cents a day. Domestic help. Porters, janitors, $5 and $6 a week. Cooks and chauffeurs, maids, women, $1.50 to $2 per week.
That's
Hotels, some of the bellmen working for what they hustle for. Let's talk about the bellhops in the hotel. Farm help, 40 and 50 cents per day. Wholesale house, truck drivers, $6 and $7 a week. Common labor, 10 cents per hour. Well, that's true.
they didn't tell. They didn't say. You know how they.
What else do you
He was. That's why the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
Colored
Took
men
him-
have to pay the same for living product as a mill employee and every other man. It costs, didn't say it costs his, it costs him as much to live as anybody else in the mill. But the Negro cannot work in the mills. Well, he couldn't, except as a janitor or something like that. Back then, the man couldn't work in the looms and things. All the colored man could do was clean up, janitor, cut the grass or something like that outside of it. Couldn't work on any machinery back then. That just came about after the integration, didn't it, Mr. Wittenberg?
Yes, sir.
The court could work on
Can I add to
looms
that?
and things.
That at that time, the
Yeah,
law
well, yeah,
was
when that
a
happened,
Negro couldn't look out the same one as a white. That's why he couldn't work in the mill. And they couldn't enter the mill the same door.
Oh, of course not.
You remember that, don't you?
Back door comes. And then you go to the back door.
I know I went to.
Now, could you comment on
Say what?
what gave your uncle the courage to write a letter like this?
I
he
don't know. He just had that in him.
He was always fighting.
He believed in
a call. It
trying
was
to
a
get
good
rights
cause.
for the black man and for himself as well.
He was
You know,
always-
he even got carried out by the Ku Klux Klan one night. One of them
they
didn't
know
kill him,
that, yeah. But
and they came around there and
he
got. He lived
also-
right
did you
around the
say he
corner
was
there.
instrumental in getting lights out here for the.
Yeah, what I'm saying now. He
I
got
don't
behind the
know too much
city
about
about
it
the
because as I
lights,
said, I
the
wasn't here.
got
But
him get lights out here.
Yeah.
he was always fighting for one thing or another. He wasn't afraid. He would-
You asked why why he thought he wrote that letter.
You had a
Yeah.
picture of him, didn't you?
Well,
You show it to him.
he wrote that letter because it made him angry
Yeah.
to see how they were
It
treated.
wasn't
That's why he
right.
wrote that letter. I know that's why he wrote it.
we were just downtrodden.
And he was trying to see if he
and
could get something done about it. That's why he wrote the letter.
Yeah, he's tough now. He went up to the J.E. Serene engineering firm here. When my nephew, well, he's not in the blood kingdom. He's Elrod's uncle. I mean, Elrod's his uncle, but not blood uncle. You know, Isaac. That was Elrod's wife's nephew. You know, but he had to use his uncle in a way too. But it wasn't about blood. When Isaac got out of service, he went to J. Serene's up there, the engineer up on Main Street. It was located on South Main. Let's see, yeah, South Main.
I told you.
Trying to get hire Isaac.
Back in 1933, when your uncle wrote this letter, do you know
That's
what?
when he wrote this letter.
Yeah, that's the date. If you look at the top, it's January 12th, July 12th, 1933.
Yeah, July the 13th, yeah, 1933.
You want to know what else? What else did he do? or
I'll
what-
tell you, the specific period of time that I'm looking at is exactly when Uncle Elrod wrote that letter.
Yes.
So my study
Yes.
is very focused. And though I know Uncle Elrod did a lot of things later on, the reason I came here to Greenville was specifically to understand this period of time and to celebrate the fact that Uncle Elrod was speaking up for the black cotton mill workers.
Yeah, telling the truth here.
Well, I said we didn't know about the letter, but after knowing about it, we can say it was all true. That's all we can say about it. We knew it was all true after reading the letter. We didn't know about it, but
And
after
You
reading it.
see, the black people were afraid. They were downtrodden. You just, and the white people, as I told you before, in those days, if you were walking along the street, the white people came along, you had to get off the street and let them walk on the sidewalks. That happened in those days.
Have to get out the way.
A lot of things happened in those days. That in fact, I can't really, some of the things, I can't even think of them.
Well, the
things
reason they got him-
terrible things they did.
Reading the Ku Klux that came out that night was that, you know, they had a club, some kind of club, Professor Breyer. You remember Professor Breyer?
That's Jim Brown.
And Elrod knows had some kind of club.
You go in.
And
Was
But
this
he's
that
the
he
only one that signed his
what year
name.
was this that Elrod was doing that?
he was the only one
She
that was
said, what
signed
year
it.
was that? You know what year it was?
No, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have the least idea.
Do you think that was in the 40s?
Oh, that was before
Before the 40s. So did Elrod belong to an organization of people who were always fighting for black people's rights? In one form or another, was it?
Well, I don't know if he's on any kind of form or organization.
Here?
Yeah, I mean, when he wrote this letter, was he?
He was here in Greenville, South Carolina. Greenville, South Carolina is one of the worst states in the Union. In fact, the worst. It was the first state to secede from the Union. So
What I'm suggesting is, when he wrote this letter, was he?
No.
I'm wondering if he did this,
On his own.
if he did this by himself, or did he do the?
Who did write it?
Well, see, out on strike. You remember?
I remember. Even in Greenville and down at Piedmont, Pell, Simpsonville, all those places.
I think so.
I remember that.
Yes, I remember that.
And one mill at wasn't Piedmont, was another town down there. Never opened no more. After that strike.
But I
Closed the
don't,
mill.
I don't connect Uncle Elrod with any
No, he wasn't.
activities at that particular time. I don't.
Someone working in the mill.
Yeah.
Elrod Mill worked at the mill 4-hour time. See, down in Pels, there's a mill down there in Pels. I think that's where he worked. Don't you know? Papa told us that he couldn't, back then, you know, they had to draw his wedge. He couldn't draw his own wedges. A young person then, you know, the towns had to go pick up his money, every paycheck every week. They didn't allow him to do it.
That must be when they was at $1.50 a week.
Oh.
I guess that's when they were paying him $1.50 a week.
I don't know. But then that mill was in Pels, I think. They hadn't come to Greenville then.
I don't know. I'm talking
That's
about
where
the
they came
letter.
to Greenville. We wasn't born then. No, we wasn't born then. That's what they were mad.
The thing that's so interesting to me is that your uncle wrote a letter on his own and was really speaking on behalf of,
Yes.
you know, cotton mill worker, black cotton mill workers, really all over the South.
He was just talking about the way things were here. But as far as his doing anything and trying to organize, that letter was about, I guess, the biggest thing he ever did, as far as I could do, as far as that matters.
Now he did have that organization, some akin to the Masons. You know, he formed that thing. You know.
Yeah, that. But
He made him the Grand Master of that.
but as far as anything else, I don't.
Well,
You see-
what really happened back then was when elder people did things, they wouldn't let the younger people know about it. They kept it to themselves. That's why we don't know more about this letter than we do. See, they didn't go out and tell the children. And they're talking about,
Well, I can see how he wrote the letter,
yeah,
but because it's all true. But maybe it just wasn't
that's why we
something
don't
they
know.
didn't.
We
show
don't
it
know
or
anything
anything.
about it. But they was grown. And the grown people then wouldn't let the children know if this kind of project was going on.
Why not?
Well, even when the NAACP was organized, I tried to, Mark Tubb myself tried to get in it. You know what they told us? We were too young. Mr. Jim Brown, Mr. Elrod Neely, Mr. The man out of West Greenwood, what was his name? Ran the store out there. Mr. Walker, and Mr. the man that lived on Alice Avenue in West Greenwood. They were one, and they kept a secret about the meeting and the organization. That was in 1938 too. And so, therefore, why we don't know no more about the corresponding then is because they didn't let us young people. We were young people at the time. They wouldn't let us know anything.
Now, why do you think they didn't?
Because,
Let them, the
well,
young
what they
people know?
said,
Were they afraid or what?
well, see, children will get out and say things,
Yeah, they were afraid. That's what mom.
They're afraid too. And there's a very few of them
trying to do.
that had the backbone.
And that's why he wrote the letter.
Yes, right.
That's why he wrote the letter, because things were bad and
Yeah.
he would speak up. No one else would speak up. Maybe nobody else in Greenville at that time would have even had the nerve to write this letter. But he did it. That's the way he
I said that's the way he was about the, answering that letter in the paper. Contradicting what the white folks had written about the people blocking the street. Well, now, he's the only one that signed his name to the thing.
This was in, what year was this?
Fact,
Huh?
it's
38?
more than it. Some others had something to do with it, too.
33 or what? 33.
There's more.
July 13th. I don't have my glasses in my hand.
It is right there. 12,
Oh, yeah, I was looking up here.
33.
1993. Oh, this is 1993.
They right there what you want. 12, 9.
12, 1933.
60 years ago.
Yeah. Well, things were bad, and he just took it upon himself to write a letter about things. He was the type that was always arguing about something about how we were being treated. There's nothing much he could do, because when he did, I'm wondering if this is the letter. Maybe this is the letter he wrote and signed his name to. Maybe that's why they took him out.
No, that's not
No.
the letter.
It isn't?
No, that's not.
This letter was about the people blocking the street on Green Avenue. That's what they took him out about.
Huh?
Blocking the street on Green Avenue, blocking the
He
street.
wrote another letter?
No, that was in the paper.
No, he wrote a letter. He wrote a letter.
No,
and it
Letter
was-
to the editor.
Huh?
This is in the paper, the Greenwood newspaper. He signed his name to it.
Yeah.
Well, this letter he sent to Washington, D.C., straight out of Greenville.
I'm wondering if this is the same letter, though.
It isn't the
He
same
did.
letter.
No,
I know
no,
it's not.
no.
I know it's not written,
You
but I'm
mean
wondering
what
if it
it's
was
about the
written
same thing,
about
that's
the
what you
same
mean.
thing.
If it's about
Huh?
the same
No.
thing, it's
No.
not about the same
No.
thing.
No, this is,
You don't know that. What? I mean,
it explains why he's writing this letter.
Now, how did you happen to get hold? You did tell me once, I believe. You did say once how you got hold of this.
At the National Archives in Washington, D.C.
well, he was writing this letter
Archive. What street is that on building on?
to General Johnson. Anyway,
I've been in that building. I was in Washington about a year or so during the war. We used to go to the archives building. What street is it on now? What street is on the archives building?
I think it's 7th Avenue. He wrote this letter was to make sure that the black cotton mill workers would be covered under the new laws that were going in under the National Recovery Act.
Yes. As I said, he was into everything, anything that happened, you know, because he knew a lot of wrong things were being done. So he just took it upon himself to write a letter. I guess as he wrote, he thought up other things that were happening to us, and he wrote about it, and he wrote to this whatever. I wonder if the man ever. Well, I guess I wonder if he ever answered it.
Okay, we're gonna stop for a second. Sounds like a little kid is playing with a toy, blowing a very serious whistle. Well, what's so interesting to talk with all of you is, you know, is because is what it's like when when you show someone some history that they've actually really been a part of and they didn't really quite know that.
Yes. This was probably something that nobody knows about.
You know what? One
But
second.
it-
I'm
this-
just gonna ask this little
it's all
kid.
happened.
I'd love for you to say that again.
Thank you, stop.
We didn't know about this letter.
No,
I'm
I
wondering if
never heard of it
anybody
before.
knew about it.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna ask you to say that one more time. Okay. Could you say that one more time?
No, I just said this is a letter that I don't know if the person ever received it, to whom he wrote it, if they ever received it, or if this is something he wrote and just was fed up and talking about the hard times that we were enduring here. I think that's what this is about. He was just talking about the mills and everything.
You were just saying that this is a letter that you didn't know anything about.
We knew nothing about this letter. No, we didn't know anything about this letter.
I never heard of it.
See, there are many letters been written
So this,
that not
it
the
was
public don't know
probably
about.
received
Cause
and thrown, nothing done about it. That's probably what
Well, they
happened.
had to receive it. They had it there.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
had to receive it.
had to receive it. And I know in immigration that there's some correspondence sent, but never got a reply from it. It got to the party because it was registered mail. We know it got to the party, but it never was. See, keep it. They kept it secret because I know at one time that we written the letter for equal pay for teachers. And
Well, that was later.
yeah,
That was
I
much
say,
later
but
than
it
this.
still wasn't published.
This was most likely this was.
Well, it was published in that Mr. Hugh Johnson received it.
He received it.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
Elrod wrote this at a very critical time. He wrote it when there was
and this
still.
man, General Johnson, received it.
He definitely received it because I found it in the National Archives.
Yes. And that is something that nothing would be done about it at that time. Nothing was done. It's almost one they didn't tear it up and throw it out.
What'd you say?
It's a wonder they didn't tear it up and throw it out. That's the way things were. And my uncle was just the type to sit down, he'd think about things and how bad things were. He'd write about it. But nothing was done. He's I guess about the only man here in Greenville at that time would have done it.
Now, he wasn't working in the mill. He was a carpenter, right? Could you tell
Yes,
me?
he
Could
was
you
a
make a
carpenter.
connection?
No, he wasn't working in the mill when this was
No,
done.
he wasn't
Now, he may have worked in the mill when he was a younger man. He did work in the mill when he was young, I don't know, he could have been a teenager, I don't know. Just like I said, he couldn't draw his own wedges back then.
But in
The connection I'm trying to understand is, did he write this as if he wrote this as an individual,
Yes.
then he wasn't
I
under the
find
same
so.
pressure of someone who was a mill worker, for instance, right? Could you?
I imagine that was written as an individual, I imagine.
He just saw how things were.
He knew how
Very
things
nice.
were. He knew people that worked in the mills. He knew. At that time, I don't. Well, they, as I said, the people the black people were working in the as scrubbing floors and things like
Well,
that,
that's all they could do back then, to scrub floors and things like that. Janitorial work,
Yeah.
such as that.
which he said. But
You couldn't work in those looms and things.
and years later, they did.
And they couldn't drink out the same. They had separate drinking places from all the work there in the mill together. They had separate drinking places, separate restrooms and everything.
Different restaurants.
That's right, everything.
So he was just writing about the only person that I can think about that would have the nerve to even do this in those days.
So-
You just didn't do it. They would.
So could you say this? Could you say? Is it? You're not surprised he wrote this letter. You just didn't know about this one.
That's the whole story. Not a bit surprised. This is true, as we said before. It's all true, but we just didn't know about it. This is when we didn't know about it. He was always fighting for one thing or another, and this mill situation is just one of them that he brought out here in this letter. But
I want
as for his working in the mill, I think he was a young boy, when he worked in the
Well,
mill,
that was before we were born.
and probably not even in not in Greenville.
I want to take one more picture, and you helped me very much because, well, you're shaking your head at me because that's exactly what we wanted to. You looking at the letter tells it all. It sort of says it all for us in just an image. Could we take one more picture, almost like a little family portrait? You could sit between your sisters, and you could all sort of look at that letter, and that'd be great. And something not in the way.
You could still.
And you could sit right here.
Hold it in the middle. You want us to be looking at the left.
Yeah.
Hold it so it won't blow.
You don't need to. How do you feel when you look at that?
Say something.
Oh, that's
It was
good.
terrible. It was bad. It just brings back so many memories. Just brings back so many memories. I remember how I was sitting on a train going up to New York, and at that time they burned the coal, and they I had ordered my ticket over the phone, so they didn't know whether black or white or whatnot. They just gave me the reservations. And when I got to Washington, as came on down, everything was fine till we came into Washington. The porter came up to me and said, you have to, Miss, I'm going to take your bags. You have to move up front. He said, you have to move up front. I said, why? What am I? I said, I made my reservations. I had my seat all the way. He said, no, you have to move. So I sat there. I just kept sitting there. He came back again and said, Miss, you better move, because if you don't, they can put you off the train. And that was way out somewhere. He said, they can put you off the train right here. So you better go on up front. And I had on a white suit. And when I got to Greenville, the black coat, it was all over me. They made me move after having made my reservations. Those things went on, and those.
No, I really do. I really think that Uncle Elrod thought that he was going to be listened to this time. You know why?
Well, see, what year did he die? He died in 60. That same year Mama died in 65.
I'll tell you why.
65.
He wrote this letter right before the code went into effect, and there was still a moment of opportunity for him to say you have to honor the black workers and serve them too.
Yes.
I mean, read the last. If you read the last phrase,
How's it?
the last line of the letter. What does he say? He's really saying something.
Hope you will draw up a. You see?
Yes.
I hope you will draw up a code for
For domestic help.
domestic
Or ask
help.
the
Ask the
ones.
ones that is
Should we
drawing
read
up
it
the
like
code.
just as it is? That is.
What is going to be done about colored labor? Hope you give this letter consideration, and I will be glad to give you
More data.
On conditions. If you will like to have it, our president said he was going to do something for the forgotten man, and that is this Negro in the South. Very truly old. E.D. Neely.
I was trying to think who was the president at that time.
I don't know.
Roosevelt. Yeah, why did I he was in there for
Roosevelt.
4 seasons? Why should I have to think about that?
He said it.
Old age.
Maybe the outcome of this.
He was in there for
letter,
4 terms, I mean.
Maybe the president knew of this letter because when he made a speech in Greenville, it came through Greenville from Warm Springs, Florida, Georgia.
But you were just saying.
I was
But before you get to that, you were just saying you think maybe the president heard him.
Yeah, I think he heard this.
Did you
These
say
words
I think the president heard this letter?
because he's.
No, could you repeat what I said? Because we don't know what you're talking about.
I think the president knew about this. Why I said that is because when he came through Greenville on excursion from Warm Springs, Georgia, wasn't it? That's what it's.
Yeah, that's where.
Warm Springs, Georgia. I was standing at the railroad track up at Washington, over Washington Street. He made this statement. He said, any man is worth more than 50 cents a day.
Well, he didn't have to know about the letter to say that. That's the way it was. That's what they were paying.
I said, I think he knew about these things. He knew about them.
He knew about it, sure, but he didn't do anything about it. That's for sure. And he was in there 12 years.
I think he did do something.
You know how
Better when he got out.
You know how he helped us? By helping the poor white.
Well,
He didn't have us in mind at all. Roosevelt was a more liberal person because he was only his wife.
He was working in
He
the mill
wasn't.
and
He
working.
wasn't. If he,
had 2
anytime
shifts.
he was in
made
there
3
12
shifts
years
so
and
more
didn't
people
do
could
any
get
more from us
work.
for us than he did, no, he wasn't my favorite president.
I said
What
he
were you
did do
saying?
something. He did do something to help. He did things to help, and he got up this WPA things. Got
Could
up.
you start that again? We cut you off. I'm sorry. Could you
I
say
said he did help. He when they were working in the mills, making. You remember working 2 shifts. He had them where they worked 3 shifts. More people could work. Made it so more people could work. That's one thing he did. It helped more colored people to get work. They were getting work too, but they wasn't getting the high class work. But they were getting more of them were working.
That's exactly why Mr. Neely wrote this letter, because there were these new codes that went into effect, and he wanted the new codes that went into effect to also affect the black worker, not just the white worker.
Well, I said he helped both of them. He helped the black and the white, the poor ones and the
I said he
Negroes.
helped.
Well,
and
I
I
said
said
you
why
said
he
you didn't do
helped.
anything, but he did help
I
some.
said he helped by helping the poor white people.
Well,
he
that's
did not.
all right, he
He
helped.
did not have us in mind.
Yes, he did.
No, because we wouldn't have been oppressed all those years. Another president would have done something. 12 years.
We're not talking about the president now.
I'm talking about him. I'm talking about him because I lived through it.
Yeah. I know I saw a better time after Roosevelt came in. Things were better for me. I'll say that much. You know.
This is something, he belongs to some kind of organization called the National Council of World War Veterans. That's where you wrote this one.
Well, yeah.
They got him here as major.
Well, we seem to be going around in a circle.
Oh, that was really.
At first, you know, there's so much going on now. I said, somebody got some kind of scheme. I don't know, they're trying to work some kind of scheme. I got mad in a way, you know. I said, because some lady's been calling me before you called about something. And she'd wait just about supper time to call every afternoon. I got tired of being bothered that one.
Oh, they do that for
And she was after money. I
People
found out
begging
what
for
she was
money.
after money. Well, I didn't have any money. And I didn't care to talk with her.
No, I just wanted to show you this letter. Oh, can you?
As I said, I knew he was a fighter about things.
I didn't know he'd
So I'm
gone
not
this far.
surprised. But I'm just, you know, we never knew about it.
I've never heard of this before. Never heard anything about it. Yeah. He did form some kind of lodge here, you know, what they call this lodge? Some akin to the Masons. And he was the Grand Master here.
I just want you all to exactly understand. You can cut me out. I want you to exactly understand why he wrote this letter, because he wrote this at a very critical time. You could explain it.
What, me?
Yeah, I know you can explain it. He wrote this, you know, at the point when the NRA. Am I on tape?
That's when he wrote
Right.
that. All in 33.
Right. He wrote this.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
right when
That
this.
was when. But he was that type of person, and he would do it because he was always saying what we should do and what not.
When you all see a letter like this, and it's your uncle, of course, and you get this history back, what does it make you think about?
It makes me think about the kind of person he was. That just explains the kind of person he was when I read something like that.
You mean what we think about him?
Well, what do you think about how come the fact that you didn't know maybe for all these years that even back at that time that he was fighting, and then you didn't know that? What is that?
Yes, he would. I'm not surprised. As I said, I'm not surprised. I just didn't know about it. But I'm not. That's the kind of thing he would do, because that's the person he would fight about things that were wrong. He was always up, ready to fight about things. Why does Sonny do this? I won't say the word that he used all the time, but what he called the people down here. He always would use that word. Naturally, he didn't use it there, but he was always fighting about something, and the white people were always doing something. We were downtrodden. It was terrible. So that's what he was writing about. One of the things he was writing about, and he figured that they should get more money. That's Uncle Elrod, all right, all over again. That's what he would do.
Okay, we're just gonna take a picture of from the back, of all you looking at this from the reverse side. Is that okay?
I'm on now. Test.
And graduations in February, and they stopped that. Yes, they did too.
Okay, so maybe if you hold this, and the three of you can kind of look on. I know you're getting a little tired. It brings up a lot of old stuff, huh?
Yes, it sure does.
I could see it all over your face.
History. It's history. That's history.
Yes, it's history, all right.
Can you look at the letter? If you could read that last line again like you did before, where you wrote, "I hope you give this letter consideration." If you could read that and maybe even use your finger as you go
What
across
last,
it.
Yeah, the last paragraph.
right here? Hope you will draw up your code for domestic help. I asked the one that is drawing up the code. What is there? He didn't say R, I said there is.
Read it like
What
this.
is, I just read it like it's got it here.
Start from, yeah. You
What
could,
is he is going
you
about?
could-
Maybe
you know
stop.
what? Why don't you start with "Hope you give this letter consideration"
Yeah.
and just
and
write
just
it.
read it as
yeah,
it
you
is,
don't have to
Alan.
correct
Just-
him.
just-
That's
just-
okay.
yeah.
I don't have that part.
No, stop. She means start over and read this. Hope, right? Read it again, just as it is.
Hope you will draw up your code for domestic help. Now he's asking this.
Don't talk, just read
talk,
it.
read it.
Just want you to
Johnson.
read it. Just want you to read it.
I asked the one that is drawing up the code. What is they going about colored labor? Hope you give this letter consideration, and I will be glad to give you more data on content,
Conditions.
on condition. If you would like to have it, our president said he was going to do something for the forgotten man, and that is the Negro in the South.
Okay,
To do something for a forgotten man, and that is the Negro in the South. Very truly yours. You need it.
Could you if you just look a little bit this way, and if you could just do that line one more time. Our president said he was going to do something for the forgotten man, and then read your uncle's name out loud, if you don't mind.
Start right there. Our president said.
Our president said he was going to do something for the forgotten man, and that is the Negro in the South. Very truly yours, Elrod D. Neely.
That's what you want. Well, you always use that Elrod D.
Mhm.
DeWitt, wasn't it? DeWitt.
Something about that letter.
Huh?
President must have known something about it.
See, the Ku Klux
Well,
didn't,
whether he did or not, he's
they
talking
didn't-
about the
they didn't
president.
have
He said he could do something.
He,
didn't
you
he?
know, people were all excited about his having been elected. And he was saying what he was going to do. And he
Yeah.
did, as my sister was saying, he helped. I know he helped. I know he did help. Things were bad. But I was speaking about something else when I said
yeah.
by helping
Oh, yeah.
us.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
But he did help.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Those was it.
No.
You're allowed to disagree a little bit. That's the one thing we have, right? We have democracy. We're allowed to
Yes, yes, right. That is right.